My name is Dan Driscoll. I'm the last oysterman left in Oysterville. Oysterville Sea Farms is my heritage. It's my life's work, it's my dad's life's work, and I never thought that I'd have it taken away from me in one day. Can you imagine Oysterville with no oysters? I founded Oysterville Sea Farms in 1991. It's an extension of my father's business, Driscoll Oyster Farms. My family has commercially used the Oysterville cannery structure since the 1930s. There really is enough of my blood in this building that it feels like a relative. There's enough blood of my dad's, my grandfather's, that this is part of our heritage.
Dan Driscoll's business had grown into a local destination featured in travel shows and beloved by many people in the community. But it is under a relentless bureaucratic and legal assault by central planners in Pacific County and various state agencies attempting to shut this business down and prevent them from serving customers. In June 2011, with no warning, investigation, or option to appeal, Dan Driscoll was served with a cease and desist order on his business. This all started with complaints initiated by jealous competitors and a distant family member. These complaints alleged improper remodeling and repairs of the historic buildings, questioned the legitimacy of the business, and claimed his business didn't conform to land zoning. 5 years later, Dan is still in court. Squabbles and jealousy are unfortunately part of human nature. What most people don't expect to see is government abusing its power, budget, and endless resources to become part of that squabble. Pacific County Commissioners, the County Prosecutor, and County Planner dedicated enormous resources to prosecute, harass, and litigate against Oysterville Sea Farms. Pacific County also enlisted the help of various state agencies to hassle the small local business. Ever since then, Dan has been defending himself in court.
For the last 5 years, Pacific County has harassed and challenged every aspect of Oysterville Sea Farms' retail operation in what seems like every possible way. I just have to say, I get confused what we can do and not do because it changes all the time.
Dan had permission and licenses to sell a variety of items to his customers. Then an endless tide of ever-changing demands and restrictions rolled in from Pacific County. Dan farms and sells oysters, but the county said no more oyster shooters. His signature wine was banned. He's a seafood market, but he can't slice, portion, and weigh fish anymore. Then clam chowder was banned too. Oh, wait a second. A judge ruled he could sell wine again. Pacific County is the cranberry capital of America, but Dan was told not to sell them either. He sold groceries, but he was told not to sell bottled water or cereal. Briefly, he was harassed over souvenirs he was selling. Oh, but now he can sell bottled water again. Dan is just so fed up now, he's just going to be selling those cranberries again anyway. If you think this was ridiculous, he was told by Pacific County in order to have chairs on his deck, he needed to install a portable toilet. Then, after he installed the toilet, Pacific County ticketed him for having those chairs. Even though these historic buildings have been here since the 1930s and were grandfathered long before current land use regulations, Pacific County is still attempting to deny any commercial use of this property to Oysterville Sea Farms. Now, most businesses collapse under this type of pressure, but Dan has fought back.
The only access to due process Oysterville Sea Farms has had during the last 5 years is expensive litigation. In addition, I've had people in the government say that I need to get along with them, I need to compromise. To tell somebody that they need to compromise when you're taking from them, this is completely worthless. I was told that the Oysterville Sea Farms problem would be solved once and for all, and it'd be solved by having Oysterville Sea Farms retail building, pier, and Oysterville Sea Farms dock torn out. When I made a public records request, Pacific County told me it'd take up to 1,500 business days to make those records available.
When Pacific County chose to start harassing Dan, Oysterville Sea Farms had about a dozen full-time employees. After years of uncertainty, litigation, and harassment, Dan is only able to retain a handful of part-time employees as he tries to fend off Pacific County's relentless attacks. When Pacific County has lost in court, they always appeal to a higher court, costing the taxpayers even more and pushing Dan and his business closer to the brink of financial ruin.
Hundreds of people have stuck their neck out and stood up for Oysterville Sea Farms at public meetings and in letters. Additionally, there's been thousands of petitions asking people to lift the cease and desist order and asking the county to do whatever it can to have Oysterville Sea Farms exist and thrive and be the vibrant community asset it was. The county's ignored all that. The county has effectively destroyed a vibrant community asset. Business owners in this community are terrified of what's happened to Oysterville Sea Farms. If it can happen to me, it can happen to anybody.
Do we want to live in a society where small local businesses can thrive and prosper, providing the jobs, the goods, and the services that we all want? Or are we going to be forced to watch as Pacific County and other state agencies collude to destroy the last oyster farm in Oysterville?